Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here this morning. I'm Diana Hinkle, and this is my continuing education. Today is Monday, the 21st day of May, and we're a little bit gray skies here in the Pacific Northwest today. And I'm gonna get this started, and we'll see if anybody jumps on with me live. I know a lot of people watch the replay. Life gets busy, especially those of us that are working. And today I actually want to talk about autoimmune issues. And that seemed to have come up a lot in conversation in the past couple of weeks. And so I thought, we haven't talked about that for a long time, so let's talk about that. Let's have a discussion about autoimmune disease in itself. First off, this is a continuing education helping you understand the use of essential oils and other modalities, because there's a lot of modalities out there to help us in our health and wellness. We're not here to treat, cure, or diagnose anything. And my entire thinking of being here is to just educate you on a little bit of this and a little bit of that, to help you understand a little bit more of where you are, and maybe you can look into something that's alternative to what you're traditionally doing. I know essential oils are totally in the spotlight anymore. Why is that? It wasn't until 2008, a little bit after that, that essential oils started to become that highlighted product again. And DoTERRA is the oil of my choice, and DoTERRA is the one that, because it was such a good product coming out of the gate, that people started noticing, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, people need to know about this. I know that was my deal too, because I had no idea what essential oils were when I was introduced. I do come from the dental world after about 30 years. And in a lot of products, we have essential oils in them, like clove, for instance. If you have a tooth pain, clove is great for that. And so there's a lot of products that contain clove. Well, now I understand a little bit more why we have those products in another product to help with dental issues and our dental issues in the mouth. And so understanding essential oils is the key factor in knowing and deciding whether or not this is a choice for you. And I totally took it by the horns and said, it changed my life. It changed my husband's life. People started noticing and asked him what he was doing different. And I totally got it. It's like, I got to learn more. And so I did. And after my research, I was like, this is another way for me to be able to help you in making decisions for your own health and wellness. And I absolutely love being able to help people. And I've met people that I would never dreamed of meeting, and I've helped people that are very appreciative for knowing what they could reach for outside of other traditional methods. So today I really want to talk about that autoimmune, because it's such a significant part of our society, especially here in the United States. It seems that in the United States, we might be living longer, but our health is not the best. And we pay more money out for health care than any other country, but our health is declining. I don't know why that is. Well, there's a lot of reasons why that could be, but I'm not here to discuss that. That's something to leave for you to discover, because once you start doing the research, you start putting A, B, and C together, and you realize that, oh my gosh, there are things that we really need to be watchful of, especially how we eat. So autoimmune, what is that? It's actually inflammation of our body, okay? It's an overall inflammation, and I'm going to read something to you because sometimes I may know it, but I do have a lot of tools to use. And so I'm just going to read out of this, and I'm going to try to get it so I can read it and face the camera. So autoimmune disease occurs when the body has either an abnormally low immune response to pathogens, or when the body's immune system fails to distinguish the difference between pathogens and healthy body tissues. When the normal body tissue is identified as a pathogen or an invader, the adaptive immune system creates antibodies that target the destruction of these tissues. So let's talk about that real quick. So this process is called apoptosis. Okay, apoptosis is where the body's own immune system, their health defense, is to recognize a bad cell. That is where it decides either it dies, it eliminates that cell, or it can fix it. Sometimes what happens is the body doesn't recognize it as a bad cell. And so that one bad cell becomes cycled through, and that one becomes two. And then two become four, four become eight, and I think you get the picture. So that apoptosis, when it stops happening, problems start to occur, okay? So we got to think about that. It takes time. So eventually you start having symptoms. May not be enough symptoms for your doctor to diagnose, but at some point you will have enough symptoms that they will figure it out and diagnose you with the right disease, or they will, you're the guinea pig in the meantime, okay? And so because the body attacks, it's attacking itself, okay? I actually know a person that when I first met her, it was crazy. And she was, many times she had had iron infusions, didn't know what her body was doing until finally they found out that her red blood cells were 50% of her blood cells were half the size of what they should normally be. 50%. So that meant that she couldn't get the oxygen she needed. That's just not happening, right? Because your cells need to, that's how you get your oxygen, your red blood cells, that's how you create oxygen. And so, and your nutrients, it actually absorbs nutrients. So if you can't do that, if they're only half the size, then you're not going to get your breath, okay? And other things start happening. So it's good that she finally figured that out, but it took a long time. It took years for them to figure this out. Approximately 75% of those that suffer from autoimmune are women, which is a very interesting thing. I don't know really why it's more of a women's problem versus men. And it's actually one of the top 10 causes of death in women is autoimmune. And it's associated with our gut health, okay? If 80% of our gut health, it is all about our whole well-being. So there are more neurotransmitters in the gut than there are in the brain, okay? So when people talk about the second brain, that's our gut, right? The brain, our brain is one thing, but the gut is another, okay? So the factors that include autoimmune problems are genetics, right? That's probably number one. Toxins from heavy metal, candida, and overgrowth of candida, that's the digestive system, that's your gut. Again, that's your good or bad flora, okay? We have to have a good balance of both. You also, if herpes simplex virus, nerve damage due to excess exposure to neurotoxins and like chronic inflammation. Also food sensitivities, so when you have a food sensitivity, our body is chronically filled with inflammation. And typically speaking, that even heart disease and a lot of other issues are all part of chronic inflammation of the body. Okay. If you do the research, that's what you're going to find out, that autoimmune is largely due to inflammation of the body and the body not being able to do what it does best, and that it's supposed to heal itself. So that's where we look at that apoptosis again. So I have a lot of information that I want to share with you. You know, cleansing the digestive system is a really good thing, and there's a lot of things that you want to avoid. And there's a lot of good things that you can eat that will help reduce that inflammation response of the body. And so your number one thing that you totally want to avoid is sugar. How many of you are label readers? If you're like me, you just, in the beginning, it's just, you just went to the store and grabbed whatever. But I have totally changed what I look for, and I read the labels, because in the United States, we have so many foods that have so much sugar in them. It's unreal. I even had people that I met from Slovakia, and they said that our foods are so sweet, including our vegetables. And I'm like, wait, you think our fresh vegetables are sweet? Why is that? They're grown in the soil, right? So why would they be different than theirs? Because our soil is different, for one. And we put a lot of nitrates and other things in the soil because we deplete the ground of its nutrients. And so we're constantly trying to put it back in so that we have good food. And it's like, I never thought about that, but I really started paying attention. Where is our fruit and vegetables coming from? What country are they coming from, right? We don't grow everything here in the United States. And if we do, and if you get lucky and you live in an area where you can actually collect your fruits and vegetables locally, oh my gosh, that is huge. But if you can't, and you have to go to the supermarket to get your produce, and you're not canning for yourself, you're not growing your own vegetables, and then you have to look at the seeds. Where are they coming from? Okay, do they have GMOs in them? You really, I mean, it just all starts from the ground up. And so think about everything that goes into our products and look at the label. Sugar. And you know, the number one thing that's in our products, like ketchup and all these other things, high fructose corn syrup. We're not supposed to have that. And there's a reason for that. And high fructose corn syrup actually creates inflammation in the body. So if you have autoimmune issues, that is something you totally have to eliminate. You also have to start looking at other eliminations, like eliminating gluten, dairy, and artificial sweeteners. And you definitely don't want any kind of seed oil. You know, you're not cooking with a seed oil like canola oil, no corn oil, no sunflower oil, soybean oil, and no margarine. Margarine's not good either. Margarine is really yucky. And you don't want to cook with vegetable fats, because they contain unhealthy amount of the inflammatory omega-6. So, you know, avoid that too. So too much omega-6 creates inflammatory. Okay, so let's look at what you can add. So we know what we need to eliminate, and we need to look at avoiding those things like dairy. Dairy is probably a big factor in a lot of us, because we don't realize how many foods we shouldn't have until we go get tested. And there are blood tests that you can get, and they vary in price. I think the average price is around $350, $400, depending on where you go. But it can be done so that you can start looking at what to avoid and what's causing problems. But dairy can cause things like headaches. It can cause skin breakouts, bloating, okay? So when you start taking something away from your diet and you're not sure which is really making the problem, you can reintroduce it, but you reintroduce it a little bit at a time. And so that you can experience, if you start experiencing that bloatiness or start getting the headaches again, then take it away. It's a process of elimination, and then bring it back in slowly so that you can decide if that's something that you really need to avoid, okay, unless you do the testing, okay. So that's a very important part. So it's reducing the amount of inflammation to your body. Now, how can you reduce the inflammation of the body? Okay, there are plenty of foods out there that you can eat. Fresh green leafy vegetables are number one. Like spinach, right? Kale is another really good one. Avocados are good for us. Okay, for a long time we were thinking avocados were not good for us, but they actually have a better fat in them. Okay. Asparagus is especially good. It's a detoxifier for one, and it actually helps create the prebiotics in your gut, so that your gut creates what it needs, the good flora, right? So that there's that balance again, okay? And if you've never looked up Candida, Candida, Candida is one of those things that I never knew what it was until I'm like, wait, stop. What is that? If you don't know what something is, stop long enough to do your research. We have no excuses to do researches anymore, because we all have a cell phone. Okay, I have one. See, I have one. You can search anything that you want because it's easy. It's at our fingertips. And if you're not doing the research, because you are the first advocate, you are your body is your temple. You are the one that needs to take care of it. It's not your doctor. It's not your health coach. It's not your life coach. It's you. You are responsible for you. Okay? Do your research and know where you're going. What are the options out there? Okay? Don't just let your doctor tell you what to do. Okay? Sometimes, and a lot of times, yes, they know what they're doing because they've had all the schooling, but there's a lot of things they still don't know. And so do your research and find out what more could you do. Okay, so again, we're looking at reducing that inflammation. Use coconut. Okay, coconut itself is good for you. It's got fiber. But coconut oil, okay. Avocado again, asparagus, and root-type vegetables like carrots, beets, turnips, those kinds of things are really good for reducing the inflammation, especially like for RA, some cancers that are due to that inflammatory response, and diabetes is the same, that too. Macadamia nuts are also another really good one for helping reduce inflammation. And they have soluble and the insoluble fiber. So that's something that's really good for you. I mean, we talk about avocado, or we talk about other nuts like walnuts or almonds. Almonds are good for us too. They contain a lot of vitamin E. But when you look at the fiber and what it helps with the body, macadamia nuts are probably the best. Okay, they're a little more spendy, but they're the best when it comes to helping reduce inflammation, and that's what we're talking about. We already know that number one thing is to avoid sugar, right? And all those other things that are put in the products, be that label reader. Another thing that you want to add into your diet is turmeric, okay? A lot of places to get turmeric. I know doTERRA has a lot of products that have the turmeric in it, which I do take a lot of those because I do have advanced arthritis for my age, because I was actually diagnosed when I was 12. I was diagnosed with scoliosis of the spine. Nothing they could do. I was already done growing. So yeah, I've been this size. I've been tall for a long time. I used to get teased in grade school. And, you know, kids can be really, really bad to each other when it comes to bullying. And I look at that, it's like, you know, that was bullying to me. I was tall, and there were things that I couldn't do that I wanted to do because I was so tall. But nowadays, I feel like I'm shrunk. I have shrunk, but I don't feel so tall anymore because I have daughters and I have kids that are taller than me. And it's like, I don't feel tall anymore. uh, add in turmeric. That's a great thing. We already know to read the labels. And another thing to think about is avoid any kind of canned or product that's packaged that contains a liner. It's called BPA. Okay. Excuse me. That is bisphenol A. Sorry, I need to take a break. Okay. You want to avoid those foods that contain a liner in the can with that, because there are a lot of studies now that support that it causes inflammation. I know there's a lot of that has got out of that, but there's still some of those canning that are still the same. They haven't changed it. And if you're a postmenopausal woman, this is very important to keep this out of your diet, because it's extremely high inflammatory for those that are postmenopausal. It increases that inflammation. So that's definitely not something we want if you already have an autoimmune. And a lot of times autoimmune issues can be reversed if you really watch your diet and really think about what you're buying off the shelf. Okay, it's no different than learning that you are intolerant to gluten. Gluten is another thing you want to avoid, and the gluten we have in the United States is different than others. And so white breads are another thing that you want to think about taking out of the diet. And white rice is another one. So when you start thinking about that autoimmune, what are the things that you can or cannot do? This is just helping you understand what you can do to help in reducing that inflammation, so that maybe through time you don't have to take the medication from the doctor if you reduce that inflammation enough. But always make sure that you talk with your doctor. Never just do not ever go cold turkey on any medication. Your doctor needs to know what you're thinking and what you'd like to do, because he's there to help you and help answer questions for you. So make sure that you are having that dialogue with your doctor, your medical doctor. So what else can we do to use to help reduce inflammation? How can you help that autoimmune response in the body's ability to help it heal itself? We have tons of that. Okay, so eating right, exercising is one of those things, right? That's number one, that's the key. But you can use products like frankincense essential oil. Frankincense is the best anti-inflammatory out there. And it's probably the number one that you could use. And there's many others. I have a whole list. I mean, there's tons of anti-inflammatory essential oils out there. The number one reason I use doTERRA essential oils is because I know I'm getting a product that is highly potent, and its efficacy it's going to be the same every single time. They have what they call a certified pure therapeutic grade, or CPTG, and that means to me that every time I use the essential oil, it's going to be the same effect every single time, no matter how often I purchase it. Okay, that's important to me when I know I'm using it for my health and wellness. If I just want fragrance, then the sky's the limit, you know. But I want you to really think about the fact that if you've got an autoimmune issue, what toxins are you breathing in that are creating or triggering that inflammation? If you are looking at these plugins and other things that are made with synthetics those synthetics are toxins to you, and you've got to reduce them. You've got to eliminate them. So go to something that you know is going to be good, and there's nothing added. It's all what they say. So that bottle is exactly what it says. So with doTERRA, and let me tell you too, that with an essential oil bottle, just because it says 100% pure on the bottle does not mean that's everything you're getting. It means that you have at least 10% of the essential oil in that bottle. The rest of it can be something else because the FDA does not regulate that. I kind of wish they would, because there are too many out there with the bottom line is how much money they can make. It's not about you and me and our health and wellness. It's about that almighty dollar, right? doTERRA is not that way. I mean, these owners, they maxed themselves out with their credit cards. They did everything they possibly, they took loans out. They did whatever they could to get this company started, because they wanted backing for the money, but once they got someone that wanted to back them, they wanted controlling interest. And that wasn't for them, because they knew what would happen. Their mission or their integrity of product would have changed. And so that's totally not what they wanted. So that's why I really appreciate the owners of doTERRA and what they do for us to ensure that we not only have a product that's pure and potent, but we get a product that is changing lives all over the globe. And it really does. And I appreciate that. So 84% of essential oils through doTERRA are exclusive, and they go all over the globe looking for something. So we have something that's potent, and we also have something that is sustainable. If it's not sustainable on a wide scale, then we don't get it as a single. It might be in some of our blends, but it's not as a single because it's not sustainable. So that's an important part too, because we want to make sure that we are taking care of the earth, right? And that's one way of doing it. And so they work with the growers that have perfected the distillation process of essential oils all over the world. So we talked about frankincense already, right? So frankincense is our number one, and it's an oil, okay? And our essential oil, frankincense, or doTERRA, comes from Somalia, where the best essential oil is grown, or the best frankincense, I should say, not the oil. It's a resin, okay? And another thing, there are tons of essential oils that are anti-inflammatory. So I'm going to read you a list. And so we know frankincense is probably the number one. We also have lemongrass, thyme, ginger, bergamot, cassia, black pepper, helichrysum, fennel, oregano. Oregano is probably, it's also an not just an anti-inflammatory, but it's also an antibiotic as well. Peppermint's another one. Clove is another really good one, and clove is the highest antioxidant you can get on the planet. So and there's a lot more essential oils that are anti-inflammatory, but doTERRA so made it easy for us, because they came out with a cellular blend, because this is about helping create a response of the body, that apoptosis. We want to break the cycle so that it heals, so the body can heal, right? Not just put a medication out there and mask the problem. We want the body to recover. How do we do that? So essential oils are one way to do that. And doTERRA created DDR Prime. That's this right here. This is a phenomenal product. And it comes with frankincense, wild orange, lemongrass, thyme, summer savory, clove, and aioli. All of those are anti-inflammatories. So isn't that what we're trying to do, is reduce the inflammatory response so that our immune system can better itself to get back up to par, right? So it comes in this little soft gel, just like this, okay? Not very big, okay? So you can kind of tell how big it is compared to my, I don't know, compared to my thumbnail. It's not very big. So easy to take. And it's also a gut cleanser. So if you're looking for something that you can help reduce inflammation and cleanse the gut at the same time, this is a really good product to do that with. There's another product that they have called Endocrine. Now there is a Endocrine oil, but this is another soft gel that doTERRA came out with, and it's about the same size as the DDR Prime. I'll show you. See, it's not quite as fat. And so this is just the oil in a soft gel, okay? Makes it convenient. But it's got tangerine, rosemary, which is another, all these are anti-inflammatory, geranium, juniper berry, and cilantro leaf, okay? So this helps in cleaning up all the organs, okay? We want to make sure that every single organ can work properly. So we have the Endocrine oil, but we also have a complex that if you were going to be doing a cleanse in any case, the Endocrine complex, which is a capsule, I don't have it here, but put those two together and it's a really great product to help you with. Another thing to think about is AromaTouch technique. Now this is something that I provide for people. It's also something that I learned how to provide this technique, and I also train this technique. So I'm one of like 13 different trainers in Washington State that can actually do a certification class or training. And what that is a specific technique of specific essential oils on the spine. So it helps in relaxation, reduce inflammation, and help eliminate toxins and help the body back to homeostasis, okay? So if you've never experienced that, and find someone near you that can do AromaTouch technique for you. You will absolutely be amazed. Every single person that has ever experienced this is like totally in la la land because it'll put you to sleep. It can make you feel like you're drunk. I know some people get up and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've been at the bar all night. Or some people get dizzy. Okay, so it's a real thing. You will get over that. It's the body's way of, oh my gosh, I got to get rid of this stuff, right? So why another thing is really important that when you receive an AromaTouch technique is you drink a lot of water, okay? It's very important. So I love being able to do that for people, and it's so helpful, especially if whether it's autoimmune or something else, or just simply need to learn how to relax, or you just have a simple cold or anything like that. This is very helpful in letting the body's own natural ability to heal itself, okay? That's a great thing. I could tell you tons of stories about that. And so this is just a basic, what is autoimmune, and a basic of how am I going to eliminate toxins? What are the foods I'm going to eat? There's a lot of health coaches out there, and if you're only relying on your medical doctor, go to someone that can do something a little different. Okay, they might test you differently. I know tons of people that have done that, and a naturopathic doctor will test you differently. Okay, they come up with different ways of being able to help the body heal. And so find out if there's a way to help reverse or even slow down the process of what's going on. And along with your medical doctor, and like I said, keep with your medical doctor. Let them know what you're doing so that once things are happening and things are going great, because they're going to say, hey, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because you're doing a good job. They may not say right out that, hey, I like what you're doing with the essential oils or other modalities, but you know what? It's okay because they're still going to be positive about whatever it is that you're doing. If it's helping the situation, they're going to just totally be with you, right? They're going to encourage you to keep going and do exactly what it is that you're doing. So I encourage you to do more research out there. Find somebody that you can trust, that you can go to, do a blood test if that's what you need. Go to a different type of doctor or naturopathic that you can look at different ways of, a different aspect of your problems, okay, your health concerns. So for those of you that are listening to this as a recording, if this is something that you feel like you want to continue with, I really enjoy being able to talk with you. And if you have any questions, please reach out. Feel free to reach out to me. And I am on Facebook, and I'm on YouTube, and please reach out to me. And if you have been invited to watch this replay with someone and you are interested in doTERRA products, then talk to them about how you can get them into your home and get them for the best price. Because everybody has budgets. We all want to be better. We want to be healthier. We want to live longer. Well, maybe most of us. And we really want to help how our bodies can respond to things. So essential oils are awesome, and learn what you can put into your body to help reduce inflammation. And there's a lot of other foods. And this is just, I mean, we could have probably several hours of just communication and just learning about more things that you can do. But this is just the basics. This is helping you understand that there can be another way to help you with your health concerns or your health goals, okay? So get with the person that shared this video. If you would like to join in on my Monday calls or my continuing education, then you can text the word, the @ Heavens Oil, HEAVENSOIL, so @Heavens Oil, to 81010. So that puts you in a link that will that gets sent out. You get the live link and you will get the replay as well. So I really appreciate you guys that are listening and being with me, and learn more about you. Be your first defense. Be your advocate for your body, and understand how many other things are out there for your health and wellness. So thanks for showing up, and we will see you again next week. Bye, everybody.